I remember that day like it was etched in stone, the kind of memory that haunts you in quiet moments. The sun was shining brightly over the grand hall, flowers blooming in every corner, and laughter echoing from guests who had no idea of the storm brewing inside me. My name is Elena Hayes, and for years, I'd poured my soul into a life far from the family home. I joined the Navy right out of high school, climbing the ranks through sheer grit and determination, until I became Admiral Hayes, a title that carried weight, respect, and secrets I kept close to my chest. My brother, Mark, was always the golden child in our family, charming, outgoing, the one who could light up a room with his smile. We grew up in a small town where everyone knew our story. Our parents passed away young, leaving us to fend for ourselves. I was the quiet one, the dreamer who escaped into books and plans for a bigger world. Mark, he stayed, built a life around the family business, and married his high school sweetheart. But beneath that perfect exterior, there was a rift between us that had been widening for years. The ceremony was his big day, a lavish promotion event at the local naval base. Of all places, Mark had joined the reserves later in life, more for the prestige than the passion. And now he was being honored for some community service award tied to his unit. I'd heard about it through mutual friends, but the invitation never came. Not a call, not a text. I checked my mailbox every day, hoping maybe it was a mistake, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Mark had cut me out, just like he had with so many things in our past. Why? It started small arguments over our parents' estate, where he maneuvered to take the lion's share, claiming I didn't need it because I was off adventuring. But it went deeper. He resented my success, the way I'd broken free from our town's expectations. He'd spread whispers that I was distant, unreliable, even after I'd sent money home during tough times. The betrayal stung like salt in an open wound. I felt shattered, invisible in my own family. Yet, something pulled me there that day. Maybe it was closure, or perhaps a spark of defiance. I dressed in civilian clothes, nothing flashy, and slipped into the back of the crowd. The air was thick with anticipation as the officiant took the stage, his voice booming through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, before we honor Lieutenant Mark Hayes, we have a special guest today. My heart skipped. Then he said it. Welcome, Admiral Hayes. The room fell silent, all eyes turning. But they weren't looking at Mark. They were looking at me. That moment hung in the air like a thunderclap, freezing everything around me. I stood there, my legs feeling like lead, as whispers rippled through the crowd. Mark's face, how I'll never forget it, drained of color, his charming smile twisting into something unrecognizable. Shock, maybe even fear. He hadn't known. No one in our family had, really. I'd kept my promotions under wraps, not wanting to stir the pot, hoping one day we'd reconcile on equal ground. But now, the truth was out, exposed in the most public way possible. Flashbacks hit me like waves crashing against a shore. Growing up, Mark was the protector, the big brother who shielded me from bullies. But as we got older, envy crept in. When I enlisted, he mocked it, saying I'd never make it in a man's world. Letters home became fewer. Calls went unanswered. Then came the real betrayal. After our parents' accident, he handled the will. I trusted him, but he forgot to mention certain assets, funneling them into his name. You don't need this, Elena, he'd said over the phone, his voice dripping with false concern. You're out there living your dream. It broke me, shattered the last threads of our bond. I felt betrayed, alone, like the ground had crumbled beneath me. Years in the Navy hardened me. I rose through the ranks, commanding ships, leading missions that saved lives. But the pain lingered, a quiet ache in my chest. I'd confide in my closest officers, sharing stories of home over late-night watches. Family should lift you up, I'd say, my voice steady but my heart heavy. They urged me to confront him, but I held back, fearing it would destroy what little was left. Until that ceremony, as the officiant continued, explaining how my presence was requested by High Command to present the award. Ironic, isn't it? Mark approached the stage, his steps faltering. What? How? He stammered, his eyes wide. The crowd murmured, sensing the tension. I could see his wife in the front row, her hand over her mouth, realization dawning. In that instant, my emotions surged. Anger at his deceit. Sorrow for the brother I lost, but also a budding strength. I wasn't the overlooked sister anymore. I was Admiral Hayes, respected and accomplished. The betrayal had fueled my fire, turning heartbreak into resolve. Mark, I said softly, stepping forward, it's time we talked about the truth. He tried to brush it off, laughing nervously for the audience. Sis, this is a surprise. Everyone, my sister is an admiral, can you believe it? But I wasn't playing along. As the ceremony paused, I pulled him aside, my voice low but firm. You cut me out, Mark. The inheritance, the lies, the exclusion. Why? His facade cracked. I thought you'd abandoned us, he admitted, avoiding my gaze. You left Elena. I had to protect what was ours. Ours. It was never ours in his mind. The confession poured out jealousy over my freedom, fear I'd claim what he saw as his. It hurt, like reopening old scars, but it also empowered me. I wasn't broken. I was unbreakable. From that pain, a plan formed, not destruction, but exposure, justice through truth. The ceremony resumed, but the air had changed, charged with unspoken questions. As I took the stage to present Mark's award, I held the microphone, my hands steady despite the storm inside. Lieutenant Hayes, I began, my voice echoing, your service is commendable, but today, let's honor truth as well. The crowd leaned in, sensing the shift. I revealed it all, not in anger, but with quiet power. The hidden parts of our parents' will, the funds he'd diverted, the way he'd painted me as the villain to our town. Documents I'd quietly gathered over the years, shared now with key family members in the audience. Mark's world crumbled before my eyes. Gasps filled the room as whispers turned to murmurs. His superiors exchanged glances. His wife stood frozen. This isn't the time, he hissed, but it was too late. The truth exposed him, stripping away his polished image. He faced investigations from the reserves for financial discrepancies tied to family matters and our community. They saw him for who he was, a man driven by envy, not honor. But my revenge wasn't about ruining him completely. It was about reclaiming my place. In the days that followed, he reached out, broken and apologetic. I was wrong, Elena. I let jealousy destroy us. We talked for hours, tears on both sides. He made amends, returning what was mine, stepping back from the family business. It wasn't easy. Forgiveness doesn't erase scars, but it brought a fragile peace. Standing on that stage, I felt a weight lift. The betrayal that once shattered me had forged something stronger. I walked away with my head high, the Admiral's stars on my shoulder, a symbol of resilience. Looking back, life's deepest wounds often come from those we love most. But in the face of betrayal, we have a choice. Let it destroy us or rise above. I chose to rise, finding justice, not in vengeance, but in truth. And in that, I found my peace. If you're facing your own storm, remember your strength is your greatest weapon. Hold on. The light comes after the darkness.